welcome everybody. This is episode 8 of Life Change Transformation, and today we're going to be looking at the topic of routine and good habits. My name is Maeve Langford. I'm a transformational coach here in Ireland, and I'm joined by my co-host Gary Benoit. Gary's a recently retired police officer, proud of his service. He's recently written a book and is author of Call for Service. He's a certified coach, a licensed financial professional, and he's stepping into his new career and his new life of supporting others to create and really get started in that journey of change and transformation. So Gary, as always, it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you. And I know for sure, as you're starting out in your new, I suppose, experience of the world of work, that the
Yes.
whole topic of routine and creating new routines and new
Yes.
habits is very poignant and
It sure is.
present in your life at the moment. So
Yes.
do you want to
Exactly.
share with us what you're
Sure.
noticing about that currently?
Yeah, you know what? It's always a pleasure to be here with you guys. And Maeve, thank you for that there. You know, being a police officer is very regimented, right? You're in a box. We're very much like a paramilitary organization. We have a rank structure, we have policies, we have procedures, we have shift schedules to report to, and we have so you show up for your shift, your tour, and it's every 4 days, and it's very, very routine, very structured. And then I
Yes.
retired. And for the last little while, I've been trying to figure out what that looks like for
What's a
me.
normal day?
What's normal moving forward? I don't have to get up every 4 days at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4:30 in the morning and go to work and show up for my tour and be there for with the staff sergeants and that kind of stuff. And so it's very it's very important, I think, to know that when you make, well, for my perspective, when I made that big change, I had to be very mindful of how I decided to enter every day. Um,
Yes.
and what I had done prior to retiring was I had started a routine journal, like a daily, almost like a connection with my vision, where I'm going with this, and then what am I grateful for in the morning, and then who am I going to be today, and what am I going to do? What are my tasks? Right. And I think that's been been a big help. I've been very diligent at it because I know me. I get a little bit whatever. I fly by the seat of my pants. I'm pretty easygoing that way. I don't I'm just like, yeah, whatever comes my way. But you can't do that when you're, for example, now I'm working more from home, like, as we have a home-based office, home-based business. So in the financial services industry that I'm in, everything's done from your home. I could go into an office, but there's no real need to be there. I can make phone calls from here.
Sure.
Um, I can talk to people from here. We can do Zoom calls from here. And there's no one holding my hand or forcing me to do those things every day, right? And so I think it's really important. It has been really important for me to really focus on every day. What does it look like? Having a bit of a plan structure, like written on paper the night before, um, making sure I put things in my calendar that I would love, and then that calendar becomes kind of becomes the person I'm answering to as a calendar, right?
Hmm.
Essentially, in that way, where I've filled it with things I would love to do, and now I make sure that I'm plugging all those things in there, because I could fill it with a bunch of stuff that just fills the day. I don't want to do that. I want to fill it with, like, very intentional stuff, and that's the thing, is being intentional with it and finding that routine. I mean, I'm not perfect at it. It'll take me some time, and I know that, and so I'm having grace with myself at certain times when things find myself to be a little bit distracted or lazy. And we talked a bit about that last time, about that focus, right?
Yes.
Um, it's pretty easy to get distracted if you're at home, by TV, by social media, by the dog.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, you name it, right? And so I think that,
Sure.
so having some sort of, like, structure to your day laid out for you, on a
Yes.
list or something, that really does help. And I mean, you've been working from home essentially, or on your own business, entrepreneur. for a
Indeed.
while, right? And so,
Yeah,
and
for
you,
just over 8 years.
right.
Yeah,
And so you used to have a day job in a way. And so what is your day like? What does your day look
absolutely.
like every day?
Yeah, so for me, again, we talk about so routine and habit. We're kind of using those words interchangeably. For me, one of the things that really worked was to just, still have I start by 9. I do dress kind of for work. I mean, this might look a bit informal, but I'm not in my trackies or
Hmm.
my pajamas.
Yeah.
So again, just that this is I'm in work mode now, so I dress accordingly. I put on my makeup or my jewelry, whatever it is, appropriate work attire. Um, I'm blessed with having a separate home office. But I remember during the pandemic when everybody was catapulted into working from home and it wasn't everybody's choice or
Hmm.
preference. One of my great mentors at Brave Thinking Institute is a man called John Boggs, and like if there was ever a master in the teaching and the practice of self leadership, John Boggs is it. But John used to say, if you don't have a home office, to literally go out your own front door in the morning and just turn around and come back in and just, okay, now I'm entering work and I'm coming into my workspace. So having that routine whereby you're kind of teaching yourself that this is now work time. I'm dressed for work, I'm in that space for work, and now, whether it's an hour or a day, I mean, that's up to each of us and what our commitments are,
Hmm.
but you're showing up in that way. So having a kind of routine, if you're working from home, having a similar routine to what you would have had if you were going out the door is a good practice, I would say, in general. And again, the same at night, to have some kind of routine for how you disengage from the workplace. I would say, even though I hated my commute, Gary, and I fought with that commute for, the best part of a decade,
Yeah.
the one thing I missed about it was having that kind of 45-minute, hour-long drive home at the end of the day, because that was decompression time for me. And
Mm.
and on one level, I was blessed with sharing that drive with my husband. And we kind of share our day on the way home. And when we actually got home, we were done with work and we were ready for family life and
Hmm.
kids and all that went with that. So I think at the end of the working day as well, for people who are working from home, whether it's occasional or always, to have some kind of routine for how you say, done with this now, and now I'm
Right.
shifting into home and relationships and downtime or hobbies or whatever it is, but there's a clear cutoff.
Hmm.
So for me, that clear cutoff sometimes is just a bit like you said. I just look at, what about, did I do what I said I was going to do today? Tick, tick, tick. And is there stuff hanging over for tomorrow that I can either do now quickly or I schedule it for tomorrow or the next day or the next day. But at least it's not in my mind as, oh, that has to be done, that has to be done, that has to be done. When if it comes into my mind now for the rest of the evening, it's like that's okay. It's being done tomorrow or it's being done on Friday or whenever.
Right.
So there's a couple of benefits, additional benefits to that as a routine, which one is like if you're giving yourself the tick, I did certain tasks or things and it's
Hmm.
tick, tick, tick. It's like you're giving yourself a pat on the back and there's a little dopamine hit
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
So you get to go home or, out of workspace thinking, good job, me. This is good.
Hmm.
And again, that feeling like you're making progress and that you're being successful along the way is very helpful. Um, and it also means, yeah, like I said, that those things that need to be carried over, they've got a place to rest until you can pick them
For
up
sure.
again, and your mind doesn't have to be running with them
Yeah, for
all
sure.
in the intervening period. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a question that's come up. We talked about this topic, and you use habit and routine intertwiningly. It's me too. Habit has no energy to me. It doesn't like a good habit. It's habit is a habit. Is what it is.
Mhm.
Sometimes people say the word habit and they get a little bit constrictive. They feel like that word habit has that energy for them where they're like, it's bad. It's like a bad thing to have a habit because oftentimes we talk about bad habits, and I'll quote them. Um, and so what's your take on just if that's if that's the energy that you're feeling when you hear about this, what can you say to help people
Yeah,
unpack that a little bit, or like maybe change that energy? You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah,
for me, habit and routine, hey, it's all the same to me. I want to create as good habits and everything's great, right? Whereas sometimes people go, that's not a great look.
yeah. And even to throw in there, we hadn't discussed this, but it's come into my head as you're talking that even there've been times in my life when I viewed routine in a negative
Mm,
way as well. That routine was boring and routine, kept me constricted in some way. So what I would say, like if we take the word habit first, I would say, habit and paradigms can kind of be similar as well. Our paradigms are kind of habitual thinking and habitual
hmm.
ways of
Correct.
behaving. They're neither good nor bad.
I agree.
What I would say, they're either taking you in the direction you want to go or they're not.
Right.
So that's what I would say. Like if you're trying to evaluate an existing habit or routine or um, persistent behavior, it's either supporting, like we have all of us and all our listeners, we have paradigms and habits and routines that are great for us, that
Mhm.
wherever we have success in our lives, whether it's with our financial management, with our health, within relationships, where those things are going well and we're getting results that we love, we've got habits and routines, conscious or otherwise, that are absolutely supporting us in
Mhm.
achieving those outcomes. And where we are not creating results that we love, I would say we have habitual ways of thinking and habitual ways of behaving that are not serving us.
Correct.
And those are the ones that we want to become more aware of, so that we can start to shake it up and move it towards more elevated, more empowered ways of thinking and behaving that are going to actually take us where we want to get to.
Right. I agree. And the thing is, you hit the nail. I mean, the way you put it is amazing. It's really, really good. We all operate a certain way. We've been trained over however many years of parental influence and your friends, and over that period of time, right? You've come through life, and it doesn't matter if you're 40, if you're 70, you've had so many years of practice. If you're 30, still, right? Doesn't matter what age that is. You've had,
Yeah, someplace in between. Yeah,
yeah,
go on.
I'm saying? If you're even 20 years old, even at that matter, and you're listening,
Yeah,
and it doesn't
yeah,
matter what the spectrum is. You could be in your teenage years, or you could be you know, in your
twilight.
elder twilight years. Yeah, what do you want to call it there? But we've had so many years of practice living a certain way and being thinking a certain way.
Yeah.
And so regardless of if you think you have, because we talk about habits of eating and whatever, all there's the bad habit of smoking or the bad habit of too much drink or whatever you want to call it. I mean, you can label anything you want, but we've all lived a certain way and we all operate a certain way. And I think it's important to understand that we can create whatever habit, whatever routine, whatever we want if we're not feeling like we're living the way we want to live. And so
Yes.
that's that longing and that discontent. So if you've been doing something for a long period of time, it's become the way you've lived, and now it becomes a longing or a discontent. And you talk about asking questions, you talk about just no energy there, right? Once again, we talk lots of times too about holding things with an open hand, right? Like this is something even greater still, right?
Hmm.
And I think that is great when it comes to like creating a new habit or a new routine because it helps. And we talked about focus. The last episode was about focus. And this routine will help you maintain a focus on something that you would love to grow into.
Yes.
And we do this in life imperfectly perfect all the time. And I'm going to continue to come back to that almost every time we talk, is because I'm a work in progress, just much like I believe you are probably a work in progress, because
Okay.
ultimately, right, I've had over the last number of years, I've had new visions, right? Every year I've had create. So how do I word this? If I looked at myself now, like if I was to reflect from where I am currently and the first vision I ever had, I would say I've hit my goal
Hmm.
because I got into this to change my family and to be better for my family. Because I was in a bad place and really I wanted to create a cohesive family unit with my son and my wife, and I wanted to be there and be present for them and be engaged with them. And that's was my goal.
Yeah.
Well, I hit that goal, but guess what? That's not
There's
everything.
a new one.
There's new goals.
Yeah.
So I think we're continuously always in a state of growth. And,
Yeah.
and when we come to terms with that growth piece, it doesn't matter where you're at in your life, growth comes to you and things come to you. A great example of this is my mom. And she is 71 years old. She's a lovely lady. And she's been retired from her nursing career. She did nursing for like 40 something years.
Well,
And she'd been retired for a couple of years now. And uh, once again, I'm a licensed in the licensed in the financial industry, service industry, and we help families educate people on finances, how it works in Canada, and how money works, and how money can grow, and how do you make your money work for you. And we were having a conversation about this, and she was on one of our presentations, one of our meetings, just to see, and she's she was a client of mine, one of my first clients. She supported me in this,
mhm,
right, as parents
mhm,
often do.
indeed.
And then she's like, maybe I can do this as something for myself.
Wow.
And I said, sure. Why couldn't you? She was, well, yeah, okay. So she's now 71. She just got her license.
Wow. I
So
love that.
isn't that amazing? Like, I mean, people think, well, I'm too old, or I can't create this new habit, this new routine. Well, why not? I
Well,
says,
why not?
why not?
Exactly.
Right. And
Exactly.
so it's such a great perspective for me, from where I'm at. I'm like, she's in her 70s and she's doing something that's so new for herself to learn and help people. And it's so amazing to see. So anybody can make those changes if they choose to.
Yeah. And I think, as you were talking there, I was thinking about our habits. It's kind of like our operating system, isn't it? That's language that we use
Yes,
sometimes. So, in the same way, like for listeners, if we think about our computer or our phone, if we want to be able to do new and better things with our computer or our phone, oftentimes we have to upgrade the operating system, right? We get the new model or the new upgrade in terms
for
of
sure. The new,
the
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 new best greatest
capacity.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a bit like that. If we have new results that we want to create, then we need a new operating system to support that. And part of that is absolutely the thinking and the mindset. But part of it then is the habit and the new routines that we're
Mhm.
creating. What are going to be habits and routines that are going to take us there? And Gary, if you don't mind, I want to take our listeners back to the start of our call, because I think what you were saying about that daily routine that you have, and I
Mhm.
have the same. Our coach teaches it, and
Mhm.
I teach it to my clients. So that morning routine, just to break it down for our listeners today, is number one, to connect to your vision. So
Yes.
what is the new result? What is the new outcome that, and we talked about focus the last day. This is a great way to connect to my focus and my end results. And then to tune to gratitude, because
Mhm.
gratitude is a high frequency energy. So I know you know all of this, Gary. You're
Mhm.
smiling at
Love
me
it.
as I'm
I just
saying it,
love it.
but
I think it's
but this
great.
is the truth of it, isn't it? So
Truly, I love it.
so between 3 and 10 things that you feel grateful for.
Yeah,
And again,
love it.
it's not that we can just make a list, but that we can feel our gratitude
Mhm.
for the things that we're writing onto that list, and that we can, to help with that again for people listening, if you might say, I love my family. I'm so grateful for my family. To add the word because, I'm so grateful for my family because, they love and cherish me, or I'm so grateful for my family because, they make my home a happy place. And
Mhm.
as we add the because, it kind of ups the feeling a bit.
Mhm.
So connecting with our vision, what are my gratitudes today? And then, who am I being? Who am I being as the person in my vision? Who am I being today? So it's not, when I get the result, when it's all done and dusted, but how can I generate those qualities in me today and show up like that today? And then what's an action that I can take today? And so again, on the action piece, I was talking with a client last night, and I asked her to share with me, her morning, we call them R to B pages. And she shared it back. And in her action, she had 4 actions. And I said, no, make it easy on yourself. Just one action. What's one action that, so you're going to do lots of things, and there are lots of tasks that as
Hmm.
parents and employees or entrepreneurs or spouses or friends or siblings, whatever it is, there's loads of things we have to do. All of that gets done as
For
well.
sure.
But what's one action I can take today in service of my vision? And and that might be a big thing, it might be a small thing. Oftentimes it's a small thing. It could be go to bed early. It could be, say no to the chocolate biscuit at coffee
Yeah.
break today.
Yeah.
It could be, just take time to pause and breathe and notice what I'm noticing during the day. But as we do those little 1% shifts in showing up like the person in my vision and taking an action that's focused on the vision, that's moving me softly, softly, gently, gently in that
Hmm.
direction, over the course of a few weeks and months, we start to really get traction. Really, so in terms of a habit that's a sustaining habit, or a routine that's going to support people in creating new results this year, I would absolutely recommend that morning practice. If
Yep.
if you do that, another client said to me recently, she said, if I improve 1% every day,
Yep.
she said, in 100 days, that's 100% improvement.
Correct.
That's massive,
Yes.
massive.
Yep.
And I think the trap that we fall into so often is that I have to be doing something big, like an
Hmm.
hour's meditation, or, you know, like the 2K swim. And like for me, I got caught up in this over Christmas, that if I couldn't swim for very long in the sea, which we can't this time of the year, it's just too
Too
cold. It
cold.
was
Yep.
kind of like, if I can't do the 2K, then why would I do anything? And honestly, that internal dialogue it was just nuts. And I didn't even go to the pool a whole lot, because I was only, can I do 20 meters, and then you're turning around, and what's the point? So very suddenly I became somebody who wasn't swimming at all. And
Right.
I was not happy about that.
Right.
So again, notice the longings and the discontents, and then get back into that routine.
Yep.
Do the swimming you can do, whether it's 10 minutes or whether it's
Yep.
20 meters at a go, just do what you can do, and you keep going. And
Yeah.
and very quickly, in some respects, it can be as easy to get back into the routine as it is to fall out of it.
Yeah.
And it's really about making that active choice, isn't
Yeah.
it? And
Making a decision and
deciding for it
yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Deciding for it and then doing what you can from where you are with what you have.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Doing
if
what
you
you
only
can
have 10
from where
minutes.
you are with what you have. If you have 10 minutes, and like our coach will tell you, don't underestimate the power of 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know, the only thing I want to say is I want to add all that is amazing. Go back to the vision piece. Sometimes we have a big vision, like lots of pages written down for a vision. Like my vision is about 5 pages long when I consider all
Sure.
of it, right? All of my whole vision. That's a lot to write down in the morning. I don't write down the whole piece of my vision. I write down whatever in that moment is my most focus point, or the point that I'm trying to grow the most in that moment.
Sure.
Not
Yeah. Great,
forgetting the other ones. Of
great
course, I can't
point.
forget the other ones. I mean, it's all still there, but I know, in the last little while since I've been transitioning, it's been more focused on myself, my entrepreneurial self, right? The business piece,
Sure.
the how do I expand this? How do I take steps towards this to create this lifestyle of with my family and with, for that
Yeah.
reason, for that purpose. So yeah, sometimes people will go, well, I have my vision's too big. I can't write it all in one journal in the morning. Well, you don't have to.
Yes.
You don't have
Yes.
to do that. You can just take pieces of it if you want. Or if
Yeah.
you want to and spend that time and write the whole one, by all means, write the whole one. If that's your jam, go for it. Um,
Yeah.
but if it's
Well,
too
I
much
think
or
realistically, people won't do that over a long period of
totally
time. So,
not.
great,
Yeah.
great catch to
Yeah.
say that it can just be one piece. Or also, one of the things I suggest with clients is just to have a postcard version of your vision, where just a couple of
Yeah.
sentences for
Yeah.
each of in my work, each of the four
Yep.
areas. And that is relatable and writable on a daily
Yeah,
basis.
for
So
sure.
again, that can be a way to go.
Yeah.
And just reassuring our listeners that, like, if you are just focused on one domain, and you might be focused on that for several weeks or months at a time, that, this idea, we have a phrase in Ireland, I don't know if you guys use it, Gary, but that the rising tide raises all boats.
No, because I'm landlocked. I'm in the middle of Alberta in a prairie.
Okay, yeah,
So,
of course, yeah, and we're completely not. So yeah,
so
so
I
the idea
but
here is
being
if
from Newfoundland, I totally get that. That totally makes sense to me. So,
yeah, so if you imagine again for our listeners, if there's like a whole load of boats in the harbor and there's a rising tide in one area, it's going to rise all the boats. So it's like if we have several domains that we're working on or seven areas,
mm,
that if one of them is rising because we're focusing on that and we're pouring some energy and effort into that and that rises, then everything else rises with it.
correct.
So we don't have to worry because I know for me that was an anxiety when I
Hmm.
started in this work that if I was focused in one area, I'd be neglecting the others.
Hmm.
But when you have an overall vision that's kind of back end of all of it,
Hmm.
then it's all kind of supporting all the areas are supporting each
Yeah,
other.
and for sure, like it's a great analogy when you think about everything comes up, right? Like it's like the spinning plates. If you've ever been to a circus,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy's got the post, he's got the plates, and he puts the plates on the right, and he's spinning. Let's say there's three or four of them, five of them in a row. That's five different areas of your life, or four different, whatever. You can say seven areas. You can four, whatever it is. If you spin the one plate and you're focused on the one plate, and you get them all spinning, right? And you go to the next, goes to the next. You have to come back. You still got to touch that first plate, right? So if that first one, let's
Okay.
say,
Yeah.
right, like you still got to have like a little bit of attention on that first plate, because if you don't, it can wobble and it can potentially
Yes.
fall down. But
Yeah.
ultimately, what you're saying there, it does rise up, because if you're doing something over here, and because you keep kind of an idea on that, it will bring up the other ones, and you will remember, oh, hey, I gotta just touch that. You don't have to do it very much.
Yeah.
Just oh yeah, that's just that,
Yeah.
whatever, right? And so like it gives you that ability. So I think it's really, really cool. Um,
And I think I was just going to say maybe in this whole piece around habit and routine that again to come back to that idea of the 5 minutes. There's
mhm,
another great phrase that says small hinges swing big doors.
for sure.
So, and James Clear speaks about that in no uncertain terms, that it's just those micro little moves, those small shifts that can get us going in establishing a new routine.
Mhm,
So, just 5 minutes for the meditation, or 5 minutes to chop up some fruit, or 5 minutes to engage with my kid or my partner in the morning before we start the day
mhm,
and we go our separate ways, or 5 minutes on my business to send that email or to connect with that client, and it works.
mhm,
It
mhm,
works.
mhm.
Yeah.
When you think about habits, as we're coming close to the end here of another episode, is there, I mean, we talked a bit about your morning. Is there a way you want to close your day? Like, is there a way that you sort of
Yeah.
finish your day that I think is just as or equally as important as the morning?
Yeah, I think there is. And actually, um our great mentor, she often talks about bookending your days. Yeah, so having that kind of routine or habit to start the day that we've been talking about, and also having a way to end the day. And I think, you know, I'm sure everybody listening has this routine. At the end of the day, we
Mm,
wash our faces and we
mhm,
brush our teeth, and we kind of we wash off the debris, for want of a better word, of that we've accumulated just by going about our day. And I think a beautiful evening habit can also be to just take a few moments to reflect on the day just
mhm,
gone, and just,
mhm,
be grateful for all the things that went well. And if there was something that didn't feel great, to maybe do an edit on that in terms of, well, what would it look like if it had gone better, and
mhm,
how could I show up better next time? Um, and then this idea, again, one of my great mentors is a woman called Mary Morrissey. And Mary
mhm,
talked about how we actually start our day the night before.
mhm,
So she would talk about, setting your intention for tomorrow and it's like it sends out like a beam of energy,
Hmm.
like a ray of energy from tonight. And who am I being as the person in my vision tomorrow? How am I
Hmm.
going to show up tomorrow? What are some actions I want to engage in tomorrow? And when we go to sleep with that in our mind, it's like the subconscious, like physically we sleep, but the subconscious is wherein, and it's going to work to find all the ways and opportunities to have that experience
Hmm.
tomorrow that
Hmm.
you've just created in your mind.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I think it's a very beautiful and powerful way to end the
Yep.
day and to bring ease. If there's been a crossword with a client or a colleague or a
Hmm.
kid or a partner, to just, bring ease to that, and
Hmm.
to bring forgiveness to yourself, to the other person, and to go to bed with the mind and the heart in a good
Yes.
place.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
when I look back and I think about this, the some of the things I want to pass on is know that you can make any routine or any habit you want. I think you can do that. I think, as you create a life you would love, you can create whatever that daily habit looks like for you.
Yeah.
I think a few practical tools that they can use here, our listeners can take down is make that we talked about, in the last episode, the Skittles and Oranges kind of episode where we talked about that. Or if you haven't heard that, go back and listen to that and then come back to this and say, make that list, make that, what does tomorrow look like, right? What can I do tomorrow? What are the couple things I can do tomorrow? You pre-pave the way the night before, right? You've concluded the night, you've started looking at tomorrow, you pre-pave tomorrow being, this is my outlook for tomorrow. And when you wake up in the morning, you write that journal, you connect with your vision, you connect with what you're grateful for in that moment. Because ultimately your eyes open up that day, right?
Mhm.
Like, so that's always my indication is that when I wake up in the morning, that means the Lord isn't done with me yet. The universe isn't done with me yet. I'm obviously here to give some more of my gifts to people. And so I'm grateful for that moment. And that in that moment, the opportunity is at my fingertips. And so I think that's really important to have that morning kind of journaling piece. Maybe, I would love to incorporate like a 5 or 10 minute meditation, or it would be a smudge for me. That would be my thing, just to set me
Mhm.
up, and then reflect on the end of the day as well. Having that reflection time is really kind of cool. So those are the things that I would say you could use in your daily habits, or have a habit tracker, right?
Yeah, I think I have a track again. I mean, for sometimes, in our diaries or whatever, did I do my journal? Did I do my morning practice? Did I do my
Yeah,
um daily pages, whatever it is? And yeah, it can be a great motivator actually in terms of embedding the new routine or the
correct.
new habit. And again, for people listening, just Google habit tracker or
Hmm.
whatever. You find
Yeah,
little templates online that make it really easy to do that.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a wealth of information here today,
Oh, I
Gary.
know there was tons. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
tons. I have no real final words. I think anything you want to say as to finish us off here for this episode. Once again, you have uh, a vision workshop coming
A
up,
vision
correct?
workshop coming up in April,
Yes.
19th through the 21st of
Okay.
April. Yeah, so we'll get the link into the
Yep.
bits and pieces at the bottom of this episode for sure.
Yep.
That is live only.
Okay.
So if anybody's in the vicinity or willing to travel to the vicinity, we'd absolutely love to see
Yep.
you.
Cool. Then like, once again with me, I'm a couple months out from our very first call workshop, which is Courage, Adventure, Loyalty, and Life. That's in Texas. That's going to be in McKinney, Texas. Same thing. It's live only. We're only, so if you're in the Texas area or someone in the Texas area and they want to come check us out, we can arrange for that information to be put there as well. And like I say, as always, if you got interested in reading more about me and the story and stuff I've come through my policing career, and some of the things that I've had, the challenges I've had to overcome, and what I did to do that, you can always look at my book. It's on Amazon. It's called A Call for Service. As always, maybe your knowledge is amazing. I love the way you put things. I think you offer so much to your people, and I'm so grateful that you're all doing this work. Thank you very much for that.
Well, likewise.
I think it's so great. And as for the listeners, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for listening to us. Thanks for engaging with us. Invite a friend or two next time, and we love to see you guys back here. Anything else you want to add there before we leave?
No, I'm going to pull out one of the last things you said, Gary, that all of us, our listeners and ourselves, we have within us the power to create whatever habit or routine is going to sustain us. And there are lots of ideas and ways to do that here today. But just to have that belief in yourself that you can absolutely do it. You've got it within you, you've got what it takes. And we're here rooting for you all the way.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks, guys.
Bye for now.